So we're here at the NRA convention with Colion Noir. Colion, would you tell us a little bit about why you think the Second Amendment is so important?
The Second Amendment is important largely. The overarching aspect of the Second Amendment is essentially to protect us or give us the ability to fight off a tyrannical government. I think that's largely understated a lot of times because it seems like it's such a foregone thing that could never possibly happen. But not only that, what it does is it symbolically represents the freedom that we cherish in this country. It's something that's incredibly important, and not establishing the idea of self-preservation, also self-reliance, that I think is rather unique to our country compared to other places around the world, and also demonstrating the level of freedom that we have in this country, which I think is incredibly important. And so when you take something like a firearm that can represent so many different things holistically in that manner, I mean, how could you not see the importance of it?
Awesome. Well, I guess you know the NRA has really been under attack lately by the media. In fact, where I'm from in Florida, they're now putting up billboards that say the NRA is a terrorist organization. Why do you think they're hating on the NRA so much? And is the NRA kind of a placeholder for people who believe in the Second Amendment?
Well, they understand how important they are in preserving the Second Amendment. If they weren't worried about the NRA preserving the Second Amendment in a way that they would like to destroy it, they wouldn't be attacking them so vehemently. And also what they do, they understand that the mainstream media understands the monopoly they have on information with respect to the mainstream media. And so they also understand that the audience largely has very little information about the NRA. So if you can take the NRA, an organization in which they feel is in the way of them in gun control, and demonize them and create an image in the minds of people who don't know much about the NRA, it seeks to kind of minimize them in a lot of people's minds so that they wouldn't want to, it prevents them from joining, right? It's like, if I don't want anyone to like you, what do? I go around a corner and talk bad about you and say this guy's an asshole, or say something mean or evil about you to prevent people from being drawn to you, right? And they understand the attraction that the NRA does have. So the one way that they can go about minimizing that is making them seem like something that they're not. And if you don't know much about them, you're just going to take it wholesale, like a lot of people do when they watch the mainstream media.
So what is the NRA about? What is you guys' focus, and what's ahead in the years to come?
Besides the obvious with respect to the Second Amendment, it is a freedom organization. It is an organization that's designed to protect the freedom of this country. And we understand the Second Amendment to be the biggest aspect of that, or one of the biggest aspects of preserving that freedom. Because without the ability to defend ourselves, what do we really have? Do you really have freedom if you can't defend it? You don't. And so that's why I consider an organization not only a Second Amendment rights organization, but a freedom organization as well.
But there's this growing claim that I've seen in the mainstream media and among the left and on some of the college campuses that the Second Amendment is really racist and it's just about keeping people of color down. What do you think? Is that legitimate?
No, it's not legitimate at all. It's not. If anything, it's designed to empower people, right? And again, it's the best way to get a group of people to not embrace that. Demonize it, right? So, which is kind of odd to me, though, because it's, in one breath, it's saying, well, the Second Amendment is racist inherently, but yet it applies equally across the board to everyone. Someone want to explain that to me? Like, let's say it was. Let's say the Second Amendment was racist. So, I'm still going to exercise it. So I can get if it was being applied selectively. That's one thing, but it's not. So
what can the American people do to bypass the mainstream media and to get the truth about things rather than the one-sided story we're getting?
I think we're doing it. I think one of the best ways of doing it is to take advantage of social media, right? Understand the power of social media and embrace it more. I think largely a lot of us tend to just see it as kind of something we just have in passing, but not understanding that it in and of itself is a platform, right? This is now where we get the majority of our information. I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is I grab my phone, I'm on Instagram. And then I found out about what's going on in the world within that 15 minutes. Okay, really 30 to 45 minutes. But but I found out way more about what's going on in the world than I would if I turned on the TV and watched the news immediately, you know what I mean? And so they're trying to, right? They're trying to monopolize social media, but they can't. The cat's already out of the bag. Like, it's a free flow of information. So from that perspective, we need to take more advantage of that and honestly start placing importance on our human interactions, right? I think we've gotten too used to kind of having these distant interactions via social media, the internet, so forth and so on. But what about the people who we see day to day? The people we work with, the people people in our jobs, the people in our families, our friends, all of those things. Exploit that a little bit more, because I think we don't do that enough. And that has a way more lasting impression than, say, something they saw on CNN or MSNBC or whatever mainstream media outlet out there disseminating the misinformation that they are. So.
Great. So last question, anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to mention? And what should Americans be doing to preserve and protect their Second Amendment rights?
First and foremost, speak up. Just talk about it. I think sometimes we're a little cautious about demonstrating I think there are a lot of people out there who are adamant about the Second Amendment, but we live in a world where they make it taboo to speak on it. We're afraid we're going to be judged. We're afraid of how people are going to notice us, what they're going to think about us if we speak up about it or say something about it. I think we've got to come together collectively and create a culture and start to shift the culture so that people feel comfortable talking about it, speaking up openly about it. I can't tell you how many messages I get from people who are like, I love guns, I'm secretly a gun owner, I can't really talk about it because this or that, but we've really got to start placing a focus on changing the culture so that we can speak up about it. Because if nobody understands and knows how many gun owners we really do have in this world, or how many people actually do consider the Second Amendment something of importance, then the narrative is going to be largely dominated by mainstream media that has every incentive to push misinformation that goes against the Second Amendment. And so we've got to start focusing on creating a culture that makes people feel good about being a gun owner, makes people feel good about wanting to defend the Second Amendment.
Awesome. Colion, thank you so much.
Thank you.